Hello, I am Jess Kane, the CMO of BodyBio, and we have recently launched our BodyBio Calm. So I am super fortunate to be talking to Terry Cochran about the supplement and about how she has used it in her clinic. Terry is the founder of the Global Sustainable Health Institute and an international thought leader in longevity. She has had decades of clinical work and has developed the Terry Cochran method multi-system model that really examines the intersection of genetic tendencies and a whole body approach. So she specializes in solutions for complex health conditions and serves everybody up to world-class athletes. Her book, The Wilditarian Diet, changed my life. And now every time I look at a chicken, I can never feel the same. And it's somewhat depressing, but it has really made me think differently about the meat that I'm putting into my body. I am so fortunate that I got to work with Terry. I've worked with her for about the last 2 years. And after I experienced an extremely severe reaction to, in all retrospect, to a virus this summer, I discovered this product and how Terry used it clinically, and it completely changed my outcome. What's happened to me since being sick is I've noticed how it affects my daily life as a working mom and also as a mother, and just how much more balanced I feel. And so I want to talk to Terry today just about the ingredients and how she's used it clinically and what she's seen in her practice. So thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Jess.
With
you.
So let's get into it. You've used these ingredients in your practice for some time. So why this combination? Why do you think these amino acids and adaptogen and phosphatidylserine work together so well?
Well, Calm is really unique in the marketplace. And when people think about the stress response, they a lot of times go to botanicals like valerian and hops. They'll go to adaptogens like ashwagandha or astragalus or even holy basil. And those are good, but they're not comprehensive enough, because where they lack the genius is in how we process neurohormones, which are neurotransmitters. We have to be able to break down fat, first of all. And so there is where taurine is genius in this blend, because taurine helps to create bile salts, which are our scrubbers for hormones. Taurine also helps to initiate their studies on how it makes neurogenesis. It helps create new neurons, so we have neuroplasticity. Another thing about taurine is that it helps with the production of GABA and dopamine, so it's indirect. But I really think that the magic is how you break down the fat. If you can't break down the fat, then you're not bringing in those neurotransmitters across the blood-brain barrier. You need that carrier to kind of compartmentalize the fat to bring it through. But I really think the true magic, and this is where I don't know of any other place that has incorporated this into a stress formula, is the manganese. Manganese helps modulate histamine. And so people, when they think about histamine, they think about allergies, they think about anaphylactic shock. But guess what, folks? Histamine is an excitatory neurotransmitter.
Yeah.
And so if we don't manage the histamine response, we're also missing a great piece of the stress response. And Jess, I just had a client in here yesterday, as a matter of fact, who has never had any mental health issues before. And over the last 3 weeks, she's gone into complete anxiety. She can't sleep. She's fluffy. She's gone to all these neurologists. They're doing all these crazy MRI tests, putting her on anti-anxiety medication, which is actually making her worse. You know what it was? We're having a spike in pollen. It was histamine.
Wow.
And so the histamine was making her anxious. And because Calm is such a beautiful blend, it's a symphony of the magic within the blend, that I gave it to her. And within 10 minutes, she started calming down. And even the rash that she had, which was histamine, started resolving within 10 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, that was my experience. It was literally within 10 minutes of taking it. And I, at the time, was on beta blockers. The virus that I had affected my thyroid, and it turned me into an extremely excitatory state, obviously very hyperthyroid. I had something called post-viral subacute thyroiditis. And I'm not an anxious person. I get overwhelmed by working and motherhood and 2 little kids and, life stresses, but I wouldn't say that I'm an anxious person. And I felt such horrible anxiety that it was it was debilitating. And luckily, when I took that calm pill, within 10 minutes, I just could feel myself feel like this weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Same thing happened to my husband. He took it and he was, just in a constant work struggle. That adrenal fatigue and the cortisol levels were through the roof all the time, and stressing about work through a global pandemic and running a business. The second he took it, he was like, I feel like I can think clearly. And it's just such a fascinating experience. And now that I've given it to so many people to try, to hear how their reaction is, it doesn't affect the mind. It doesn't make you feel any sort of way, any type of like stoned. It literally just calms you. And it's so cool.
It's really cool. And I think part of that calming brilliance as well is the phosphatidylserine from the sunflower lecithin, because many studies shows that it blunts the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the HPA axis, which is so critical in our fight or flight response, our reptilian brain. And through this year of 2020 and now into 2021, we're becoming patterned to be in constant fight or flight. And so what's so great about this, as you said, it's not making you loopy. You're not drugged, because it's just a combination of amino acids and some adaptogens and a couple of minerals. It makes you what we call locked and loaded. I gave it to a serial entrepreneur. She's like, Terry, I can think so clearly, and I'm really kind to my staff now. And so it just has, more than stress, it really helps bring the body into alignment where we can make better decisions, because there are studies that show when we're in a state of stress, we can lose up to 50 points of IQ. So our decision-making process will be not as robust.
Yeah. Is this a supplement? Who do you recommend take this supplement?
Oh my goodness. I mean, honestly, I've had children as young as 7 years old with anaphylaxis, with children that were so hypersensitive to any kind of supplementation on the market for Candida, which is a fungal organism, because as we know, adrenaline, epinephrine, really is, and what I found in my practice, it's a fire starter for pathogenicity. And so when people are so hypersensitive, this really helps to balance the system. I have, as I said, I've got anywhere from 5-year-old to 95-year-olds taking it. Actually, I had a young 16-year-old who was having this is pre-COVID, significant social anxiety. She could not get on the bus to go to school, could not get on the bus. And her brother was a super achiever. He'd gotten into Harvard. She had a lot of pressure to achieve. And she comes from a family of medical professionals. And her mother cannot get enough of it. This child completely turned around. She just got a wonderful academic scholarship to a wonderful college. And so it literally changed her life.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm finding that to be the case with a lot of people who are taking it. I also hear just so many people through what we've all been through in the last year. Everybody needs something to like take the edge off. And I'm hearing more and more people than ever using pharmaceutical drugs to get that, but they can really change your entire mindset. And I think what's so interesting about this is it really does not do that at all. I think there's a lot of stress supplements in the market. You and I have seen, I mean, I'm sure we've seen them all. There's a lot that just have rhodiola, or there's some that may have L-theanine and GABA. What do you think makes this supplement different? You think it's the combination and how they work in the body with the stress response?
I really do believe it's the combination of blunting that HPA axis, so you're not producing constantly that cortisol and adrenaline. But the magic, I believe, is in the taurine and the manganese, because again, back to the taurine helps break down the fat soluble elements of this combination into small packets that then can be brought through the blood-brain barrier. And when we're stressed, I actually call it the dirty cupcake. We become fat malabsorbed. So if we can't break down the fats, which are these neurotransmitters, whether you're taking an SSRI or an SNRI or some of these other elements in the marketplace, you have to have a shuttler. And you have to also address the histamine response. It has to be comprehensive. And I think this is where other products in the market miss the mark, because it's not the symphony. And I say that all supplements are like a symphony. And if you get one note wrong, the sound is off. And I think Calm gets all the notes right.
I agree. What do you recommend for people when they start taking it? What to expect? I know my reaction was in 10 minutes. You've said the other people in the clinic have been within 10 minutes. And then how often can you take it?
Really is very individualized, but generally what we find is it has about 5 hours where you can feel that it's really taking a calming effect. Some people, depending on your, this is where you have gene smart, nutrition and supplementation. If you're a slow metabolizer, it can be longer, so 2 to 3. But we always say start small
Yeah.
because it's always easier to go up. And even with children, we say even sprinkles in their food, just a little bit, and you can tell the difference and you can see the difference in behavior. Another way you can really find out if it's working, and I've seen this in practice in real time, when we're stressed, we vasculodilate. So our actually the pupils of our eyes get bigger.
Yeah.
I've literally seen just the pupils come down to normal. And so that's a really great litmus test when you're at home. And let's just do a pupil check.
Absolutely. And I find I'll take it, first thing in the morning. Sometimes I'll take it. If I'm home all day with the kids, I take it. I swear I'm a nicer mom. If I have a lot going on that day at work and I know my balance of work and my to-do list is just pages long, I literally feel more effective taking it, which is just been amazing to experience. I think something that we talk about a little bit, but we don't talk about it enough are the impacts of stress and what happens to the body. What is the impact on your central nervous system, but the impact on your immunity, on your gut with stress. And I think that this, to me, is a very simple way of lowering that impact and the response that you have in your body. Do you not agree?
Absolutely. Well, we know stress is, the silent killer, if you will, because it does go beyond, oh, I'm feeling anxious and depressed. Stress has this deleterious, profound effect on the body. The dirty cupcake again, stress can actually open up the tight junctions of our gut. So then we have a leaky gut. It actually invites pathogens to go have a party. It elicits pathogenicity. It makes them stronger so that they now become bullies in the sandbox against our favor. Other things that it can do, Jess, is that when we are in a state of stress as women, we give up progesterone to make cortisol. So then we become estrogen dominant. Estrogen has been linked with serotonin. It competes. And estrogen, when we're estrogen dominant, it binds the thyroid. Estrogen dominance feeds candida. Candida disrupts dopamine metabolism. It impacts our face with acne. Estrogen dominance can inhibit fertility because you need enough progesterone to be able to withstand a pregnancy. And then the late stages, we actually leach calcium. And we are in a state of stress, we can literally break down. Our musculoskeletal system can break. So we literally break.
It's so interesting because so many people talk about intestinal permeability and how it leads to other health impacts, chronic illness, the rising rates of autoimmune disease. And I think that I don't remember who it was speaking. I think it was Gwyneth Paltrow talking about how 2021 is the year of dealing with your trauma and how that impact of a very traumatic experience, whether you took it as traumatic for face value or you find that later it was very traumatic to you, how that impacts your health and just keeping your body much more even keeled. It's just fascinating how you can minimize that impact.
Absolutely. And my Cochrane method, which is the model that rules my companies, we start with, and the hierarchy of needs is calm the body first.
Yeah.
You can't calm the body, everything else will be much harder, and you're literally working upstream.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, even when I came in, I think so many of the things that I thought were good were excitatory. Yes. And I needed to just literally calm everything down so that I could start from a balanced state and then work my way up to figuring out what the root cause of what was going on. So it was just a really great way to just chill out. Speaking of chilling out, what else do you do to regulate stress?
Well, this is a practice because the stress is going to be the new normal of our lack of clarity and lack of what's next in our world. And so it's really taking ownership of being in alignment no matter the circumstances around us. And so one of the things that I've adapted is I always check in with myself. Am I feeling in a state of expansiveness or am I feeling in a state of contraction? If I'm feeling in a state of contraction, there's a dissonance in my field because we're now learning we're all energy.
Yeah.
Right? And so everything works on energy. It has waves, and waves will actually affect our thinking and our beingness. And so I have this thing called stop, drop, and roll. And if I'm in a state of contractive thinking or contractive feeling, I'm like, okay, I have to stop that. First, I have to recognize that I'm going to stop it. And then I drop it. And that dropping is through movement, through singing, through action. Sometimes I just step into a different place and then I roll into a higher frequency thinking. I think about a conversation I've had with someone that really filled my heart, or I'll look outside and, I can see every day I have a home gym and I jog in front of a tree, and every day that tree talks to me, letting me know that it's changing. We're coming into spring. And so just me talking to my tree, my little tree friend, every day puts me in a different mindset. And so it's really getting into that space. And also what I do is I have special places, whether it's in my home or in my office, I call my charging station. And so I go into a place of calm in those specific places in my home and office. And when I'm feeling like it's a really full day, I just go back and sit there, because the body has memory and it has patterning, and it lets me remember, oh yes, this is how I'm supposed to feel.
Yeah, I think so often we're just continuing on this rat race and just stopping, dropping, and rolling back into it is a great way to be able to implement something into every day. I know a lot of people, myself included, I would love to be able to meditate more, but at 6 a.m. my kids are yelling and I'm not waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to meditate. So for me, I have to add that practice into my day throughout the day whenever I'm feeling a little bit too, constricted in that way.
Exactly. And this is a minute, so we don't have to take time of our day. And I say, if you have 6 minutes a day at 1 minute intervals, they've actually shown studies that if you can just shut down for a minute over a course of 3 months, you can decrease your cortisol by up to a third. So great practice, and it's super easy and it's restorative.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that covers everything to do with Calm, and I hope that you guys all give it a try. It's an amazing supplement, and you'll feel it right away. It's something really cool that just takes that edge off of feeling so kind of like so much is going on in our world right now. And I don't think it's going to end with the way we are with technology and the way our world is. That it's not going anywhere. So it's all about how we manage it and just balance our bodies and feel good.